That's right. You're listening to another episode of the Co-Main Event Mixed Martial Arts Podcast. I'm Chad Dundas. That's Ben Folks. We're both longtime MMA journalists, and for the last 13 years, we've been meeting here every week to break down all the action in the wild, weird, and occasionally wonderful world of mixed martial arts. Ben, we put UFC 320 in the books over the weekend. T-Mobile Arena, Las Vegas, Nevada. And Chama lives, my friend. Alex Pereira goes out there, TKOs Magomed Ankalaev 1 minute, 20 seconds into the first round to reclaim the UFC light heavyweight title. And in the co-main, you had Merab Dvalishvili essentially doing Merab Dvalishvili shit to defeat Corey Sandhagen via unanimous decision and retain his men's bantamweight title. A lot to talk about there. I want to make sure that we have enough time to talk about the UFC 320 championship fights as much as we want. We're probably going to flip-flop the structure of the show a little bit this week. We'll talk about those two fights. We got a lot of listener mail. We'll get into that toward the end of the show and fit in as much as we can. First, though, some breaking news regarding Conor McGregor this afternoon, Ben. He has accepted an 18-month suspension under the UFC's anti-doping policy, but will be cleared to return to action in early 2026. This, according to the Combat Sports Anti-Doping CSAD agency, the in-house agency used by the UFC to run its internal anti-doping program.
It's a made-up thing. They made it up for themselves.
Announced that McGregor accepted an 18-month sanction after repeated failures to submit testing samples as required by athletes under contract with the promotion. I'm looking at Damon Martin's story on MMA Fighting. It sounds like this goes back all the way to 2024 is when he missed putting these samples in to be tested. So this news just comes out today. It sounds like this has been it was supposed to be a 24-month suspension. It's been truncated to 18 months, and he will be coincidentally free to fight and appear early in 2026, which you assume makes him eligible to fight at the mythical White House card in early June. Now, this is just it's weird timing for Conor McGregor.
The timeline of this whole thing is strange because you're telling me, okay, let's go back and remember June 2024 was when he was supposed to fight Muscle Milk Mike. Remember that? Mm-hmm. That was when that was supposed to go down. June 13th is when he withdrew, broken pinky toe, post the x-ray. Here's the little arrow pointing to it after Chael Sonnen called me a liar. All that kind of stuff. So the whereabouts failures, which, by the way, is the funniest way for Conor McGregor to fail a drug test after he came out and basically told us he was on steroids after that broken leg in the loss to Dustin Poirier. We saw him looking pretty thick and tight after that, and he was basically like, I'll do what I want to do. The missed drug test dates: June 13th, September 19th, September 20th, 2024. So the first date is like right when this stuff was going down of him pulling out of the Mikey Chandler fight. And then the other two back-to-back days kind of sounds like they're like, hey, we need you to submit a sample on Thursday. He doesn't get back. You text back, how about Friday? Still no response, baby. And so you fail the test just by not even doing them, not even showing up for the shit. And you're telling me by the end of September, you knew he had missed 3 testing dates, which is supposed to trigger like this automatic sort of whereabouts violation. That was a little over a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Why did it take a year for us to figure out what we're doing with this suspension? Why?
Or at least tell us about it.
Well, it would be even worse if you were like, he's been suspended this entire last year. We just didn't mention it. And it's also, the whole thing is a little suspicious because, for one thing, it don't take a year with it, because it's not like we're arguing over B samples or anything. Either he showed up for the shit or he did not. You're saying he did not. It's not that complicated. It don't take a fucking year for us to get around to this shit. But then they do come around and they're like, all right, he's suspended because of missing this thing. Now the rules say whatever, that it's supposed to be a 24-month suspension. But Chad, he's been cooperating so much it took us a year to settle on the penalty.
Hold on. Cooperating how? Like, how do you? Was he like, yeah, I did it. I didn't show up for those.
UFC's statement: although McGregor failed to make himself available for testing on those dates, CSAD noted that he was recovering from an injury and was not preparing for an upcoming fight at the time of the 3 missed tests. McGregor fully cooperated with CSAD's investigation, accepted responsibility, and provided detailed information that CSAD determined contributed to the missed test. Despite these mitigating factors, CSAD emphasizes that accurate whereabouts filings and the ability to conduct unannounced testing are essential to the success of the UFC anti-doping program. Taking McGregor's cooperation and circumstances into account, CSAD reduced the standard 24-month sanction for 3 whereabouts failures by 6 months, leaving him, oh, by the way, conveniently able to fight at this White House thing. Now, since, as this thing notes, he wasn't preparing for any fight, hadn't booked any fights, you're making his suspension shorter and retroactive so that it gets over with in time for him to fight at the thing he actually does want to fight, meaning that the suspension means nothing.
Yeah.
It means fucking nothing. He wasn't going to fight during that window of time anyway. He never acted like he was going to fight. The whole thing is totally pointless. Why bother? Why even bother telling us about it except to try to make some kind of half-ass point that, like, see, we're really doing a real anti-doping program. We even got Conor McGregor on the shit in a way that is utterly meaningless, has no bearing on any of the business, any of his plans, anything that anybody wants to do. And it took us a year to decide on even that.
I'm still trying to figure out a cooperation. He just told him where he was? Is that he told his cooperation was see what had happened was? That was how he cooperated with them?
He showed them pictures from his camera roll and he was like, see, this is me in a club in Ibiza, blackout drunk and getting ready to punch somebody. So you see, that's why I couldn't be there. He showed him a picture of the yacht breaking down or something and was just like, I would have had been there, but
I was adrift at sea.
The unpredictability of maritime travel.
I mean, honestly, this is one of the least serious reasons we've seen Conor McGregor in the news over the last 4 or 5 years. So
I think that's kind of what makes it so hilarious for me, because it's like the whereabouts part of the drug testing program ought to be the easiest part. Tell them where you are, and you can fuck it up a couple times. It's not until you miss 3 of them that they finally get on your ass. But that, like, after everything, after all the various substances he's been into and all the various crimes, alleged and otherwise, that he has said to have committed, the shit that we get this breaking news thing about is, oh, by the way, he just didn't show up for the thing. We gave him a suspension. It took us a year to tell you about it. Anywho, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. Thanks, guys.
It's kind of like when they got Al Capone on tax evasion.
It'd be like if they got Al Capone on tax evasion, and then by the time they told us, they were like, but he paid it, and he's cool now. He's free to go.
You want to talk about UFC 320?
Sure.
Last week, you and I had wondered aloud on a couple of our shows over on the Patreon page, what would Alex Pereira do differently in his rematch against Magomed Ankalaev? How would he approach this? Would it be remarkably different from their first fight when Ankalaev took the title off Pereira back at UFC 313? And now we know. Yeah, he's going to do some different shit in this one. He's going to come out incredibly aggressive, throwing punches from the word go. Like, this wasn't even a like, are we going to do a glove touch kind of a thing? This was like, no. When we start, I'm sprinting out of my corner and throwing punches at your face right away.
My man seized the initiative is
Yes,
what
he
he
did.
did.
Forced the issue was how I
Mhm.
think they described it on the UFC broadcast.
Well, wasn't that one of our main criticisms of his performance in the first fight? Was it seemed like he was laying back. It seemed like maybe he was worried about the takedowns, and so he was a little wary, didn't let the leather fly, was just sort of waiting for an offensive opening or onslaught that never really seemed to come. And this time, he's like, you know what? He did, it seems, what so many fighters talk about in interviews and say they're going to do. I'm not worried about what he's going to do. I'm going to make him worry about what I'm going to do. You know, he didn't sit back this time being like, oh shit, is this guy going to take me down? Am I going to have a world of problems when I get there? He's just like, let me go forward and hit this motherfucker in his head, which has historically been a pretty good game plan for Powhatan, Chad.
Yeah, that's worked for him in the past.
It has.
This whole shit was disrespectful, man. From start to finish.
Wonderfully disrespectful. I loved it.
Just like no regard whatsoever for the skills and or life of Magomed Ankalaev, just from pillar to post, beginning to end. A real fuck this guy vibe from Alex Pereira, including, doing what I guess is becoming his trademark touchdown dance, essentially his knockout celebration, where he gives the hands down gesture as if to say, look at you now. If this is where the rule brought you, what good was the rule? He seems to say.
Yeah, that is definitely the vibe of the gesture. The gesture is like, and look what's become of him. And here I appreciated the man's timing, because I'll tell you what, I got off a plane late Saturday night, flying home into Missoula, quick check, see what the result was before I could catch up and watch the fights. And I saw just the still image of him standing over Magomed Ankalaev doing his look at him now pose. And I went, damn, he really went out there and just starched Big Anki. And then, of course, come to find out, I watched the actual whole video clip and the context and everything, and realized he managed to do that gesture at the best possible time, because he did it in the moment where he's just laying there before he gets up pretty quickly. I
mean, and Alex Pereira had time to do the gesture 3 times.
He did, and he was getting back up by the end of the gesture, but again, I'm not going to say that Ankalaev passed the what the fuck test, because he lay there for a minute, and when he got up, he didn't look entirely steady. And I know people are going to complain about the stoppage and whatnot, brother. You can't lay there on your back getting elbowed in the fucking head while the referee is bent over at the waist so that he can get a better view and get closer to your face as he tells you that you got to do something. You can't just lay there and absorb shots and cover up and think that you're going to get all night to do that and bide your time to make your move. Like, that's not going to happen. So you kind of got yourself to blame for that one. But he did manage to make this moment. Like, Alex Pereira made this moment for himself where he was just like, shit, he did it again. He went out there and did his whole shit.
Yeah, he did. Seemed like maybe he hurt his foot, but
that man will hurt his foot from time to time.
That's the thing he will do. I guess before we moved on, you mentioned it, but I did want to make sure that we underscored the point that Alex Pereira went out there and made the most of 12-6 elbows being legal now.
You know what? And you could see how in that position, and a guy in with his game, that shit should work for you. So like, I was pleased to see him incorporate that into the game, especially somebody going to try to cover up and post up and like guard. No, man, find a way right through that with the point of the elbow. I thought that was pretty smart by him. Also, though, we got to talk about the Big Anki trying to maybe be like, okay, yes, I lost, but I was hurt. Did you guys know that I was hurt?
Nope.
Because
No.
see,
No.
this is from Ali Abdelaziz,
Nope.
naturally upstanding citizen in the
No.
realm of mixed martial arts. He
No,
claims
no.
he claims, Chad,
Nope.
that Magomed Ankalaev never should have fought. He had a really
No.
There's a lot of things happen with Ankalaev in this camp. See, even he can't get all the way to calling him Big Ank. Even he can't do it. But it's for him to talk about, not me. You're kind of already talking about it. And if I need to talk about it, I will talk about it. If it was up to me, he never should have fought due to some things. But he's a grown man. He makes his own decisions, and he lives by his actions. Now, I saw this later video where it was showing him doing some stuff to Ankalaev's ribs, that maybe he had broken ribs and he had some kind of rib injury. I will cite the Chad Dundas doctrine. If you're hurt, don't fight. If you fight, don't bitch.
Remember last week on our Patreon when we were talking about Sacramento State football, and I was telling you about
Who could forget
how the head coach wears a cowboy hat on the sidelines? And I says to you, you can only wear the cowboy hat if you win. If you lose, you look like a fucking idiot wearing the cowboy hat. It's the same with your ribs, man. If you want to come out after and tell me your ribs were fucked up, win. You got to win. If you lose, then you look like a fucking idiot telling me that your ribs were fucked up. You can't do that, man. Either that or you got to have the X-ray where I can, from a mile away, I can see that the ribs are broke.
But even then, you're right, because it's like, if you're showing me how bad your ribs were before the fight and you knew that, then I'm going, well, aren't you kind of dumb for hanging in there and putting your title on the line? I mean, you might tell us like, oh, I did it all for the fans, didn't want to disappoint everybody, pull out and lose this fight from the card. But my man, especially when you're Big Anki and you had the 7-month title reign that sucked and nobody enjoyed it or ever got excited about it, they're probably not going to fast track you back into a title shot. That was your chance. So you probably should have made the most of it. I also want to point out what Ali Abdelaziz is doing here, because he's kind of trying to be like, if only he had listened to my wise counsel. Now that the fight is over, now that we know the result, everybody's a genius. Once the fights have happened, it's also very clear what everybody should have done. But he's just being like, well, hey, kind of saying this is on him. He made the choice to fight. I never would have had him fight. And I don't know. I'm just trying to picture it. I don't totally believe there was a situation in which the team is all sitting around talking about what to do. And Ali Abdelaziz was like, you should absolutely 100% pull out of this fight. This is a mistake. I don't think that happened, Chad.
Even if it did, I have to paraphrase the homie Trent Reinsmith when I ask, do you think Ali Abdelaziz took his cut?
You're saying he didn't be like, no, I couldn't on this one.
Yeah, you got no business being out there over my dead body. I won't be part of it. Also, where's my 15% or whatever? All right. You ready to start to talk about Corey Sandhagen, Merab Dvalishvili? Actually, Ben, before we go on, big news here at the Co-Main Event podcast. We have an exciting new sponsor.
Does it have anything to do with the removal of pubic hair? Because if it does, I'm gonna have some issues. I'm gonna raise some issues with you, Chad.
It does not.
Okay.
It does not. And that's only one of the reasons why I am excited about it. The other is that it allows us to throw a little shine on a business co-owned by one of our beloved co-maniacs. I'm talking about the big homie Ray, a longtime listener and patron of the CME. He also just happens to co-own the Arlington Tap House, over there in Gladstone, Oregon. It's a great spot. They even show every UFC event this weekend, for example, with the UFC headed down to Brazil so Chucky Olives can do the damn thing against Mateusz Gamrot. You could go to Arlington Tap House and watch that. Also, Ray wants to show a little love back for his fellow co-maniacs. So all you have to do is go down there wearing some CME merch of any kind on your person, and Ray will pour you a beer for half off. That's right. Your first beer is half off if you show up down there wearing any kind of CME merchandise.
That does sound like a good time, but you know me. I'm a whiskey guy. And the thing about tap houses that I've learned is usually they're just kind of beer joints.
See, now you're just showing your ignorance, because the Arlington also has a whiskey loft and multiple food carts and beer and wine and cocktails.
Okay, you got me there. But I couldn't go in there of a weekend and have a good time and watch football, though.
You could. You could do that. That's the thing.
Wow.
They're in there showing football, the UFC, all kinds of fun stuff. And did I mention that Ray will cut you a deal on some beer if you roll in wearing some CME merch?
You did, in fact, mention that.
So if you are anywhere close to Gladstone, Oregon, you got to get down there and support Ray's spot, because that's what co-maniacs do for each other, and also because it's a rad place with food and beer and all that other stuff. It's the Arlington Tap House at 140 West Arlington Street in Gladstone, Oregon, or check them out online at 140warlington.com. They'll take care of you down there. Ben, I'm gonna float an idea, and I want you to tell me yes or no.
Okay.
Merab Dvalishvili, fighter of the year.
Huh. Okay. That's not where I thought you were going to go with it. I thought you were going to say Merab Dvalishvili, greatest bantamweight of all time, which kind of feels like we're if we haven't gotten there already, we are getting there. But now let's just think about it. If we're just thinking about the year 2025, and the way this guy is, I'm not going to rule it out that he fights one more time in 2025 before it's over. But you think about the 2025 he's had so far. January, beat Umar Nurmagomedov, who was supposed to be, the next guy in line. June 2025, beat Sean O'Malley for a second time, submitted him this time. Then October, beats Corey Sandhagen, then top contender, next man up at bantamweight, makes it look pretty goddamn easy. Yeah. I mean, if not him, who?
Rob Dvalishvili, potential fighter of the year. I will say this, honestly, for Corey Sandhagen, he did way better, I think, than a lot of us expected him to do, and perhaps better than we would have given Corey Sandhagen credit for. He was game as fuck. We've seen Merab break people out there, and it didn't seem like Corey Sandhagen broke. He was coming out for the fifth round with his team in the corner, basically being like, I got this shit, let me at him. It was sort of the vibe over there. That wasn't the vibe with Umar, right? That wasn't the vibe when we saw him fight Umar Nurmagomedov. We've seen Merab Dvalishvili do his thing and break a lot of people. It didn't seem like he broke Corey Sandhagen. It just seemed like Corey Sandhagen couldn't compete with him skills-wise.
Yeah, it also seemed like there were times when I'm watching this, I was like, they seem like they have Merab pretty well scouted.
Yeah.
Seemed like we had a pretty decent idea of how we wanted to approach this fight. Just couldn't do any of the shit you wanted to do. Couldn't stop him doing his shit. It made me think all over again of what Ray Longo used to say about training Merab, where he was like, it's super easy to game plan for one of Merab's fights. You just let him go out there and do the same shit he always does. And that's it. They know what's coming. They can't stop it. So it doesn't matter if they know what's coming. He's just going to do the same thing every time, but people can't stop him from doing it. And that's kind of what you saw here. It's just like you can also see he's getting better in the areas where he wasn't as strong. And he puts that pace on you. He just keeps coming after you so much that it's like, I can see how it's very frustrating. I'm sure in the gym, you think you have the code cracked. You think you have a pretty good plan. And then you go in there and you're just like, shit, he's just doing it Like exactly the shit I've seen him do to everybody else. He's now doing it to me, and all my ideas on how I was going to stop it are not working.
Yeah. Yeah, it seemed like Corey Sandhagen was coached up about as well as you could be. As you said, they had Merab scouted us about as well as you could. They had a game plan that seemed good for Corey Sandhagen, and yet, you just can't stop Merab. You can't stop him. You can't stop the hustle with him out there. There was a time you mentioned Merab getting better, and obviously we saw him throw hands a bunch during this fight. He did get tagged by Corey Sandhagen, but that's going to happen. He looked pretty good on his feet. There was a time when they were exchanging punches where Merab just slipped like 2 or 3 of Sandhagen's punches and fired back and clipped him with a shot. And that was one of those times when I found myself watching and I went, uh-oh. Merab starts doing that, like he is going to be even more difficult to defeat. And he's already a puzzle that we haven't been able to figure out there. So that, if he starts making leaps and bounds in the striking department, that is bad news up there at bantamweight.
Yeah, and okay, here's the thing I want to throw out at you though, because right now Merab running through people. We've gotten already to a situation in the bantamweight division where it just feels like, all right, who's the warm body we're going to throw in there next? Corey Sandhagen was kind of the last guy up there where it felt like, all right, he hasn't fought him yet. It's a different body type, different style. Maybe it'll produce something different and interesting. So, and the guy's obviously earned it with the fights he's won. So throw him in there. Let's give him a chance. Now he's already beaten 4 of the top 5. The only guy he hasn't beaten on that list is number 5, Song Yudong. And after Song Yudong, he gets down to Davey Figs, Marlon Vera, Mario Bautista, Ayman Zahabi, Henry Cejudo, who he did carry around like a sack of laundry. So you're kind of looking at a situation where one way or another, you are likely to get into the reruns for Merab at his current bantamweight title defense. Either that or he goes up in weight and he hasn't seemed that interested in that. And I would say he shouldn't. I don't know if his style will translate quite as well up in weight. And it does seem like you're going to run into a little bit of diminishing returns, perhaps, as he just has to, who are you going to, Peter Yan next? Something like that. I don't know. I don't know if that's really going to electrify anybody, but it does seem like he's packing a lot in. And Chad, maybe one of the reasons Merab is packing a whole lot in is that what happens on January 10th, 2026?
I do not.
Merab turns 35 years old.
I see. I see what you're saying. I mean, if anyone can defy the 35-year-old curse, though, it's Merab.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, he doesn't exactly look like he's starting to slow down at all. And yet,
it's got to be Umar, though, right? Again, he's the guy that when you watch the most recent fights, the thing that went wrong for him seems fixable.
Yeah.
Right? You watch the Corey Sandhagen fight. Sandhagen fought his ass off. He did as well as he possibly could. Well trained, well scouted, everything else. Game as hell. He could fight Merab 100 times and probably not win. Umar, the problem seems fixable.
Yeah, it does. And he's got a fight scheduled because he hasn't won a fight, hasn't had a fight since he lost to Merab.
Right.
He's supposed to fight Mario Bautista. I think that one was moved. It was supposed to be at one fight night, and I think we moved it maybe to the next pay-per-view. But if he goes out there and he wins that one and he looks real good, then all right, I guess I can see the case. If I were whispering in Umar's ear, though, I'd be like, look, we could really use a finish for one thing. And then we need you. We absolutely need you, my guy, to seize that microphone and get out there on some Merab Dvalishvili, you absolutely suck type shit. You don't make it a situation where the UFC can, it's unclear they could pick somebody out of a hat and throw them in there. Make it so that this is the only fight that makes sense. But I agree with you in terms of who could just tighten some of the game here and there and have a best shot at beating Merab. it would be Umar. You also, if I'm whispering in his ear, I got to be like, hey, man, we're going to need 25 hard minutes against Merab. We're not going to be able to take a second off against that guy.
Yeah, man, there was the exchange in the second round of this fight at 320 where it was the striking exchange where Merab almost finished him, where it looked like if the ref had jumped in to stop it, I don't know how many people could have complained, but it was like he knocked Sandhagen down, couldn't finish him on the ground. Sandhagen got back up. Merab took him down 5 times in like 30 seconds after that. And I don't know if he got credited with them all as takedowns because Sandhagen kept getting up and getting up quickly. But that's insane, man. Like, you can put Umar on the assault bike as much as you want. If a guy is whipping you to the ground and making you wrestle your way back up 5 times in under a minute, how do you compete with that? I don't know, man. I don't know what you do to that.
Did seem like we were getting a little bit into pad the stats territory with the takedowns.
Hey, man, the guy kept getting back up, right?
Maybe you let the guy get up so you can take him down again.
Yeah, I suppose that's possible.
Maybe he had the over on takedowns. Have we checked the DraftKings activity from Merab's account?
Maybe Merab just wanted to show how many ways he has to get you down. Maybe he didn't want to leave a single takedown technique in the bag on Saturday. He just wanted to use them all.
Yeah, I mean, hey, you practice them all in the gym, right? You want to get them out on the road, test drive them a little bit. I get it.
And yet, nobody's been able to really to beat. He's won 14 straight fights. He lost his first 2 fights in the UFC, and since then has won 14 straight fights. So nobody has quite been able to solve the puzzle. And yet, when you're watching, as John Anik put it, maybe there's an issue with Merab's risk management. But when you're watching him, you sort of get the impression that somebody could beat him, right? Like, he's messing around on the feet, as we mentioned, getting better in the striking. But Sandhagen managed to blast him a few times. Looked like he hurt him at least once. If he plays that game, I don't know, man. I'm not gonna sit here and say he's unbeatable. He looks damn good. I don't know how you compete with him in some respects, but he doesn't have the aura of unbeatability, I don't think, that we've seen before with some guys.
I mean, it does tell you something, though, about a guy's level of dominance if we're sitting around and the best thing you can find to say is, it doesn't seem impossible that he might lose a fight. I mean, at that point, we're just basically being like, well, he's not immortal. Someday, I feel like pretty confident Merab gonna die just like the rest of us. Like that tells you he must be doing pretty fucking good.
I mean, Merab's going to die because he climbed up a telephone pole 3 stories up because he didn't have anything better to do. Did you see him out dancing after this?
Oh, yeah. And you know what?
Energy left over.
I can tell that I'm a gentleman of a certain age because I saw him out there at the after party in his suit doing spinning heel kicks and stuff. And I was like, Merab, you're going to split your slacks, man.
Oh, he better have a gusseted crotch.
You better have those Chuck Norris action slacks on or something because they're not made for this, my man. That's some fine tailoring and you're going to be out there wearing it out. Take it easy, bro.
Yeah. Remember, you're listening to the Co-Main Event podcast proper. This show drops every Tuesday afternoon for free in your timelines and your podcast libraries. But if you want even more of the Co-Main Event, you can find Ben Folks and myself all week over on Patreon. Hit us up at patreon.com/co-main event and get loads of extra audio and video content, as well as access to our official Discord message board where they're talking about fights and a lot of other stuff literally all the time. Everybody knows by now we are a completely independent podcast. We don't have the backing of a big parent company or even one of the major MMA websites. We're just 2 guys talking into microphones, and we've been doing it for more than a dozen years. But the truth is, we can only keep making the show with your support. So if you can spare a few dollars, please consider joining the Patreon. head on over to patreon.com and sign up to join the team. We do have fun over there. Another great way to support the show is by going to co-mainevent.com and checking out our merchandise shop. We got t-shirts, we got hats, we got hoodies, we got lots more. Stop by, pick up the best-selling Daddest Man on the Planet coffee mug, the perfect gift for any father-ish figure in your life. If not that, get a Dundasso t-shirt or hoodie, a Bobby Knuckles t-shirt, a Volcomania t-shirt. We got it all. Go over to the website, co-mainevent.com, and click the link at the top of the page that says shop. As always, we partner with our friend Johnny Ashcroft on the shop. He is a graphic designer from Portland, Oregon. We can't recommend him highly enough for all your design needs. Hit him up at studiosuperconductor.com or on Instagram at studiosuperconductor. And right now, like we always do about this time, let's do a little bit of listener mail.
Listener mail.
First piece of listener mail this week comes to us from Dr. William McDougall, who writes, "You know how the saying goes, get taken down 20 times, get up. Wait, fuck that. Maybe Corey Sandhagen at some point in time should have rolled for a leg entanglement, got to guard, or just tried some Dundasso, because it seems like Merab would still be taking him down over and over if the clock didn't expire, no matter how many times he got up." Discourse.
So we're saying that at some point you should be like, hey, down here on the mat is where I'm bound to be. Let's work on doing something from here. Which I guess I see the thinking. If you're like, hey, why don't we be throwing up arm bars? Why don't we roll for a knee bar? Try to get him in some kind of submission. I don't think that that's going to work on Merab, especially because he's just having his way. You know, it's not like he's taking it down because he's tired or because he's hurt on the feet or anything like that's going to give you an opening for it. I understand the thinking where you're like, if you get up, bro, he's just going to take you down again. But I also think probably everything they did in that training camp for Corey Sandhagen was to go in there and be like, we're going to fight the takedowns, but we're also going to accept that over the course of 5 rounds with Merab, you're probably going to get taken down at least once or twice. We need to work on getting back up. And so it probably got drilled in him, you know, as I've heard a lot of fighters say, don't work your ground game, work your get up. Don't bet on being able to take the UFC bantamweight title away from this dominant champion by throwing up a triangle choke off your back. Get up and let's try to win the fight there. I understand the thing like at some point, hey, he's just going to keep taking you down. So maybe try something different. And yet I also feel like it's easy for us to say on this side of the fence to be like, hey, I know you trained this certain way for this certain fight for months, but in the 4th round, do something just completely different. That was not part of your game. Just see if it works. So I think that's pretty low percentage.
In fairness, Merab Dvalishvili's last loss was in fact a technical submission loss to Ricky Simon. It was also in 2018, so it's been a while since,
and even that one was a little controversial.
Been able to work their magic over there, coupled with the fact that Corey Sandhagen has not won a fight by submission since 2019. He armbarred Mario Batista, so that is some anecdotal evidence that would suggest that playing the submission game probably wouldn't be the best idea, or the shortest path to victory, I guess, for Corey Sandhagen. I mean, I get the point. I'm not saying that Dr. McDougall, far be it from me to contradict the doctor, the good doctor. I'm not saying that that's a terrible idea. Since you're going to wind up there, maybe you do want to have some tricks up your sleeve. But I think for anybody, you could probably get the best jiu-jitsu guy in the world out there, and locking Merab up in a submission is going to be easier said than done. Can somebody do it? Probably, maybe, I don't know, but it's not going to be easy, I think, for anybody. And so if you're Corey Sandhagen, I completely understand the the decision to try to play to your strengths. And, just so happened that his strengths weren't that great. Weren't good enough. So I think that's the start and the end of it.
Yeah.
Next question this week comes to us from Darcy LeDrew, old school co-maniac. Darcy LeDrew writes,
Hell yeah.
boys, you definitely saw our favorite Central European samurai fighting off tears as Alex Pereira finished Magomed Ankalaev. Is it just me, or does the UFC commit promotional malpractice when their once stellar 205-pound division has fallen into the dumps and they don't seize on two gems in front of them? Everything about Pereira's cold assassin vibe and Yuri's chaotic zen speaks to possible money on the table. I'd be building that entire division around these two and hoping a third possible contender pops up to make it a triangle like back in the day with Poirier, Gaethje, Alvarez. Time to boot Dana White and get an actual promoter to, I don't know, promote? Thoughts?
Yeah, we're not that interested in promoting these fighters individually anymore. But you know what? If you make another Alex Pereira Yuri P fight, I'm gonna watch the hell out of it. Obviously.
Yeah.
Yuri P is just so much fucking fun. Like I wrote in my post-fight column, shows yet again that being an intense weirdo who really, really believes in himself is a great base for MMA. Because I've seen him in some of these fights where even when it looks like it's going bad for him, you never see him outwardly show any sign that he's losing faith. He always believes he's going to get it done. So I absolutely think that he believes that this will be the time he figures Alex Pereira out and he goes out there and wins. I don't know if I believe it, but I believe he believes it. And I believe it would be, that's a fight you could sell. They're both a couple of interesting weirdsmobiles. You put them in there, you're going to get an action-packed fight. But for me personally, I would really love to see Alex Pereira go up to heavyweight and see what we can do there. Like just there's going to be a small window of opportunity for this. I feel like Alex Pereira is 38 years old. It's not going to be able to just flip that switch forever. And I think there's some interesting matchups at heavyweight, and heavyweight could use a guy like him. And all the evidence you need to know that I'm right is that we're doing Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gane. Just saying.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I think if there's money left on the table, that money is Alex Pereira versus John Jones, Alex Pereira versus Tommy Gas Hands, or Alex Pereira versus Cyril Gane, in that order of preferability. If he's going to stay home at light heavyweights, yeah, man, I'll watch him fight Yuri Prochazka any day of the week. Just Weirdsmobile on Weirdsmobile action.
Mm-hmm.
That would be in some ways. So I don't find that unpalatable at all. It's, Yuri's already 0-2 against the guy. So that puts a little bit of a of a damper on the situation. So I don't know. If you're going to stay home, if you're going to have Alex Pereira continue to be the champ and he's not going to go up, maybe you throw him out there against Carlos Ulberg first. If he gets through that, Yuri Prochazka waiting in the wings. But don't you get the feeling that he's done about all that he can do at light heavyweight? Honestly, I mean, I don't know what he does. It'd be nice, sure, if he beats Carlos Ulberg, then I think you can declare that division cleaned out. But at the same time, I don't even think he needs to do that. Can you think of anything that if Alex Pereira did it at 205, you'd be like, wow, man, wow.
Yeah, I mean, being somebody like Carlos Ulberg is one of the ways that you show, like, hey, even though I'm at this point kind of a salty veteran of this division, I'm still fending off the young bucks. I'm still the guy here. But you're right that it would just kind of feel like Alex Pereira wins another one. It's a fight that makes sense rankings wise, but it's not a mega fight. Whereas if you were able to do Alex Pereira versus Tommy Gas Hands, assuming he wins that Cyril Gane fight, and if he doesn't, once again, I reiterate, it is a disaster for heavyweight. The one I don't want to hear any talk about is John Jones, honestly. And that is the one that it seemed like people were seizing on afterwards, where they were like, how about Alex Pereira versus John Jones? And I say to you, for what? For what?
For fun and profit. That's for what?
You're going to leave behind the light heavyweight title to go and do a non-title fight against John Jones at heavyweight? Like, what's the point? You're fighting a former light heavyweight champion, neither one, but like, if you're going to do that, why not just have John Jones cut the weight, come back down to 205 and fight you for the light heavyweight title? We're just doing it for the hell of it. I mean, I guess if we're doing it in the post pay-per-view age where it doesn't even matter anymore if you have a title because there's no pay-per-view money coming in anyway, whatever. But it just seems to me like John Jones probably just takes him down, elbows the shit out of him on the ground. Like matchup-wise, it's a bad matchup for Alex Pereira, and it doesn't have that same, like, to go up and try to capture a UFC title in a third weight class, that is some historic ass shit. You can really sell that. That is something special. You ask, like, what could Alex Pereira really do that would make you go, wow, he's done something new this time? It would be that. It would be winning a heavyweight title in the UFC. To go fight a non-title bout against John Jones, it just doesn't have that same sparkle for me.
In fairness, I asked you what could he do at light heavyweight that would make you go, wow.
Okay.
And look, I agree with you. If they made this a fight between John Jones and Alex Pereira, John Jones should be a pretty heavy favorite because matchup-wise, I think that it favors him a lot. I also agree that if you can get Johnny to cut the weight back down to 205 and fight Alex Pereira there, that'd be incredible. That's probably your best scenario for how you could make that a meaningful fight. However, I will not sit here and let you poo-poo the idea of Alex Pereira fighting John Jones at heavyweight. No title on the line? Don't care. That's a big fight. That's a fun fight. That's a fight that's going to make you money. That's the fight that's going to make the most money up there. If you're looking for achievement, if you're looking for tangible prizes, yeah, I guess you could fight the winner of Tom Aspinall and Cyril Gahn as long as it's Tom Aspinall. But in terms of legacy, beating John Jones is good. Becoming UFC heavyweight champ, it's a little better. But if you want the big fight that's going to pay you the money, that's going to be fun, John Jones is the guy.
What do you mean pay you the money? Where is the more money coming from?
Well, you better be getting some money if you're Alex Pereira. You're going up to heavyweight to fight John Jones. If they're not giving you the money, motherfuckers, stay home and beat up Carlos Ulberg. If it's all the same to you, if you're going to go up to heavyweight, you better have them get Turki Al-Sheikh on the phone.
Yeah, see, that's the thing, is that, again, moving into the post-pay-per-view age, why should you give a shit if more people watch? Why should you give a shit if they can charge more for tickets? You're not getting a piece of any of this stuff. So a fight is a fight. What it says on your contract, you're going to get paid. That's what you're going to get paid, unless you negotiate for something extra to do it. So you got to dismiss my idea by being like, oh, I guess tangible rewards such as titles.
I'm not dismissing your idea. I'm dismissing your willingness to dismiss John Jones versus Alex Pereira. It doesn't have the sparkle for me. That's what you're saying over there. It's just fucking a huge, amazing fight.
I think it's a little bit. I think I could picture how that one goes, and it'll go that way. I also think if we're gonna do that, we should. There's no reason not to just have John Jones come back down to light heavyweight. And if you're going to tell me John Jones won't do it, can't do it, whatever, can't physically cut back down or doesn't want to, hey, John Jones is a begging ass man right now trying to get on that White House card. Mm-hmm. What if you tell him, all right, Johnny, you can have it on one condition. You got to come back down to light heavyweight.
Do you think he can even do that at this point?
Yes.
Take that weight off?
Yeah. You got a long time.
I mean, hey, if we can do that, that's the best option right there. Next question this week comes to us from Big Anki, who writes,
see what he did. Yeah.
My dudes, I hate Joe Pyfer. He embodies many of the things I can't stand about our culture today. He's big, dumb, loud, racist, and I don't know this for a fact, yet I feel completely confident saying he's a Trump guy. Didn't he tell the entire country of Mexico to fuck off for some shit that he himself was the cause of? The UFC keeps giving him undeserved bonuses, and consistently favorable matchups. Why are they pushing this guy so hard? He has a limited skill set, and he's checks Wikipedia. Well, he's only 29 years old, but his hairline belies that fact. Wow.
Yeah.
This is a real takedown of Joe Pyfer here. What do you guys think of body bags? Go ahead, Chad. Say body bags. We all want it. Body bags. Love you both more than I care to think about, but I sincerely do love you both. Big Unk. He says, parenthetically, I'm 5'8" and an uncle.
I appreciate him throwing that in there. I mean, the part about Joe Pyfer being a Trump guy, yeah, obvious. You can look at that guy and you'd be like, I'd be amazed if he's not a Trump guy. So you're probably right about that. I also though feel like a lot of it is we're doing the thing that we sometimes do in MMA where we're looking at this guy, adding a couple things up and being like, nah, I just don't like him. Which fair enough. Yeah. That is a lot of times how it goes in this sport. Where, I remember back in the day when I was just like, I don't know what it is about Frank Trigg, but nah. And I still couldn't tell you anything really about like what it is about Frank Trigg that I think that I disliked. And I've talked to Frank Trigg since done interviews with Frank Trigg, nice enough guy and everything. Still something about it, you were just like, no, fuck this guy. That's just kind of how it goes sometimes in fights. I would say this to people who are just trying to have fun, enjoy the sport. Don't overthink that. Don't overthink it in either direction. When you see somebody and you're like, I like this guy, like the cut of his jib. Don't learn anything about him. Don't be like, I should look him up on social media, find out what his social cultural views are. Don't do that.
Don't do that. That's the last thing you want to do.
If you find a guy where you're like, fuck this guy, I can't wait to see him get his fucking teeth kicked in. Go with that too. It's the yin and the yang, brother.
Yeah. Joe Pyfer seems like a throwback to me. Like Joe Pyfer seems like he would be a guy who would be the striking coach on an early season of The Ultimate Fighter. Like he's on Rich Franklin's team. That's what it seems like to me. That Joe Pyfer would be like a guy like that. I don't. Do you think the UFC
holding
is
pads? Got a huge dip in his lips.
Yes. Yeah. Body bags. That's what they'd be calling him too. Do you? I don't know that I feel like they give
like,
Joe
hey, Bags,
Pyfer.
Come over here, hold pads for this kid, man.
Yeah. Do you feel like they give him preferential treatment? He just seems like a nobody to me.
You're saying they give him they don't think about it?
They give him no treatment.
I don't know. Like, I don't see them necessarily putting him in fights where they're just like, okay, the point of this fight is for Joe Pyfer to win. Like, I don't know if I see that happening. Because here, he fights a guy who's on a 3-fight winning streak. He didn't look great in the first round. He looked like he might have some problems in the first round. Pulled it together and for the second round. But I don't know. I don't see them really trying super hard to get in the Joe Pyfer business. I mean, I think we can't sit around and be like the UFC is so lazy they can't be bothered to promote champions or promote interesting rivalries or anything, but then also be like, and they're trying to give some guys easy fights to make them into a thing. Like we gotta decide which it is.
Yeah.
I don't think that they're really trying too hard to make Joe Pyfer into something he's not by giving him easy matchups.
Next question this week comes to us from John Mooney, who writes, I'm sure I'm not alone in being completely baffled by Patchy Mix's performances since joining the UFC. His last fight in Bellator was a hard-fought win against Magomedov, but he has looked like a completely different guy since. Flat-footed, slow hands, reduced gas tank, zero defense. His fall since the Pettis fight should be studied. I'd hope for an exciting addition to the UFC roster, but I think he could get cut at this rate. What say you?
Yeah, I mean, hadn't gone great for Bellator guys coming over, man.
Yeah. And this, split decision, he maybe could have won it. he has come out since then and basically said he can't be too mad about it. He said he's not going to be happy if he wins a split decision. So he's not going to be too mad if he loses a split decision. At the same time, though, 0-2 start for Patchy Mix in the UFC, and he's out there losing split decisions to dudes whose names I can't even pronounce, who, in fairness, looked a lot better than maybe we expected him to. But at the same time, that's not what you want from Patchy Mix. You don't want that dude to be having split decisions against somebody like that.
Yeah, that ain't great. I mean, I do honestly respect his take on that, to be like, hey, if I'm gonna win some split decisions and the close fights, sometimes they're gonna go the other way. How mad can I really get? You're like, yeah, I appreciate that you can manage to have that perspective, especially when half your money was depending on how those scorecards read.
Yeah, basically he was like, I already have fucked up if I am in a split decision situation. So next question this week comes to us from Jay Ryan, who writes, 1 scenario, 3 questions. Scenario: it's the night before UFC White House. Dana is relaxing with his side piece.
Okay.
His buddy from the White House stops by. I'm just going to imagine it's Stephen Miller. Stops by and asks him if he will, for the benefit of the American people, fix the fights so all Americans on the main card win by finish. Number 1, what's Dana's initial internal reaction? Number 2, what does he ponder before answering? Number 3, how does he outwardly respond? Do you see we're moving this? We're not having it on July 4th anymore. Now we're doing it allegedly in June on T-Dog's birthday.
How about that?
Yep.
We're gonna take the bread and circuses event and we're gonna add an extra little twist of the knife to it by having it be like, oh, by the way, it is for the favor of the emperor on his birthday.
It's some Mad King shit, is what it is. Like,
America is definitely in its Mad King era right now.
That's like some shit you would read about in the history books. It's like, Caligula had gladiator battles on his birthday and the lawn of the Parthenon. I'm just saying words now.
See, I was thinking, if anything, would if it were actually Trump being the buddy from the White House referred to here, if he came by, wouldn't he be like, Dana, I was thinking about it. I should knock out Tom Aspinall. Like, he should, like, wouldn't he want to go in there and like look like he's the guy, like he won a fight or something? Because honestly, doesn't Trump seem like the kind of guy that whoever won, like he doesn't seem to like America enough that he would really want all the American fighters to win. He would be like, how do they feel about me, Donald Trump? Because if you got, let's say for sake of argument, a Russian guy versus an American guy, and the Russian guy likes me more or has said nicer things about me, Donald Trump will pull for that Russian guy. That's easy to imagine. Now, as for the question of if somebody from the White House were like, maybe just like misreading the thing where it's like, all right, so we're a go for this event. Let's try to get a good card together. Make sure you have the money to replace the lawn afterwards. And by the way, also make sure all the American guys win if you could. Thanks. Thanks in advance for your attention in this matter.
You just need to find me 5 wins.
Yeah. You think Dana White is like, whoa, hold on. Feel like we got our wires crossed here somewhere. That's not actually how it works. You're thinking of the WWE. We don't get to decide who wins. Or does Dana White be like, well, one thing I have learned being in Trump's orbit all this time and paying attention to what happens to people in it is that you don't say no to the big guy. You just find a way to give him what he wants.
Maybe I'm being Pollyanna-ish, and I don't know why in a million years I would ever put any stock or faith at all in the moral fiber of Dana White. I don't think he's fixing fights. I feel like that is so...
How would you possibly keep it quiet,
Right. Especially if Trump told you. Trump would be on Truth Social 10 minutes later being like, I asked Dana White to fix all the fights, and he said yes. He'd basically like tweet that.
Yes, he would.
It seems so counter to everything that Dana White is to fix a fight, right? Like, above all that, you can say whatever nasty things you want about the guy, and God knows we do, and God knows he deserves it. but he's legitimately into might makes right, dog eat dog. These two guys are going to go out there and strip to the waist and have a fucking knockdown, drag out fight, and whoever is tougher is going to win. Like that's his whole shit, kind of.
Well, also, you're right that like you would never keep it quiet. Trump himself would be the guy most likely to give it away, and you would kill the entire business the moment that happens. The moment, because people already kind of think that you're almost pro wrestling. If there was shit where it was just like, oh, by the way, they took their show to the White House and fixed it so that all Trump's picks won, nobody's watching your shit next Saturday after that. They will not trust you. You'll destroy the entire company with that one decision. So you're right. I don't think that he says it, but I think that there's if they ask him for it, I think there's a long as Dana tries to figure out the most diplomatic way to respond to that. Because I think he knows he can't just be like, fuck are you talking about? The way he would talk to anybody else.
Yeah. All right, last question this week. Then we got to get out of here. From Matthew Erickson on Patreon. He writes, prayers are answered. Frankie Edgar did not fight at BKFC. And then a quote. According to NJ.com's Kevin Armstrong, who had the original report, Edgar had to pass an echocardiogram, a stress test, an eye examination, blood work panel, EKG, and MRI to be deemed fit to fight. It's unclear which of these tests he failed or if there were other factors that played into the decision to have him removed from the card. Then back to Matthew says, although the fact it maybe wasn't a training injury and he's not medically fit to compete, that makes me very sad. I hope he's healthy and can enjoy his post-fight life and stay away from more damage and injury. I have to admit, I kind of forgot that Frankie Edgar was supposed to fight at BKFC. Maybe I blocked it out because I didn't want to know about it. I did not realize or notice when he did not fight, but now that Matthew has sent us this message, I am quite glad that for whatever reason Frankie Edgar did not fight, except for wondering what it was that kept him off the card and hoping that that's not too bad. Not some bad shit.
Yeah, my first thought upon hearing this was maybe the system still works a little bit. Maybe there's a reason we have these guys go through the pre-fight medical exams. We've heard with people getting away with so much bullshit at pre-fight medical exams. Motherfuckers are rolling in there missing eyes and they're not finding out about it. So you are kind of at this point, it's hard not to be cynical about those and be like, come on, who are we kidding? So when you have a situation like this where the first thing we thought, right, was Frankie Edgar should not be taking these fights, these bare knuckle fights. It seems like a bad idea for old man Edgar. And then to hear that somebody was actually like, no, you got to pass some tests before we're going to let you do this. And then he went and did the test and they said, nope, you're not doing it after all. That does make you feel like, all right, maybe we haven't completely given up on there being some safeguards in this sport. Yeah, you're right that it doesn't exactly make you feel great about, because whatever it was seems like maybe something that he'd want to address. Even if it's something where they're just like, hey, you're not going to fall over dead at any time soon, but we also don't think you should get into there and get into a bare knuckle boxing match. Fair enough. But also, if I'm Frankie Edgar, they give me that news and I turn around and I look at that Jeremy Stevens, Mike Perry fight. I go, you know what? Maybe this is for the best. Maybe it's for the best.
Yeah.
Because that shit, you saw that shit and you're just like, they ain't playing around in there, man. You go in there and get one of those bare knuckle boxing matches. You're going to know you was in a fight by the end of it. Even if it goes really, really well for you, you're probably going to know you're in a fight. So shit, man. Maybe that all worked out the way it was supposed to, Frankie.
That is going to do it this week for the Co-Main Event podcast. Thanks, everybody, for listening. We appreciate the support. Reminder, we're over on the Patreon page all week. Tomorrow, we'll be there for the live chat. So if you got a burning question to ask us, there is still a chance for you to get in the door and roll over there and offer your question. Go to patreon.com/co-main event. Sign up to join the team. As for right now, we are done. We are through and we are out. Still continue to believe that Mike Perry is just the exact right type of crazy for bare knuckle fighting. Because, Jeremy Stevens, by normal person standards, like you'd be like, oh, Jeremy Stevens, that guy's kind of crazy. But not in the bare knuckle boxing ring, man. Not against Mike Perry.
I sent you this clip on Instagram of the woman where you can see the moment she gets her nose broken.
Yeah, it was gross.
Right?
It was gross. Why'd you send that to me?
It was so gross. The thing I really appreciate about it, I sent it to the big homie Dan DeStefano, and he was like, you can see in the expression on her face when she goes from being like, hell yeah, I'm in this fight, I'm gonna win it, to she eats the right hand and goes, what the fuck was I thinking? How did I get here?
If the rule has led you to this place, what good is the rule?